Hi, welcome to our assembly for today. It's Monday. I hope you've had a lovely weekend, and it's certainly getting cold, so I hope you wrapped up really warm. What we're going to do this week is we're going to talk a little bit about people around the world and who our neighbour is. So when we say the word neighbour, we tend to think about the person who lives in the house next to us. We might be thinking about the person who is sitting next to us in class. They tend to be our neighbours. Okay, but actually we can have neighbours right the way around the world, because if there's one thing that the pandemic, the coronavirus, has shown us, is that actually we can connect to all sorts of other people. I'm sitting in my office now and I'm connecting with you guys, and lots of people have used things like Zoom and Meet and Teams to connect to people around the world. And it's really important when we're going through all of our tough times ourselves that we think about all sorts of other people as well who are experiencing different things. So I'm going to show you some pictures. Here we go. So we're going to be understanding other people around the world and thinking about the sorts of things that they're going through. And look at all these global goals that this is relevant to. So we're thinking about no poverty, zero hunger, good health and well-being, quality education, clean water and sanitation, decent work, economic growth, sustainable cities and communities, reduced inequalities, responsible consumption and production, climate action, and life on land. So that is an awful lot of global goals we're thinking about this week. So first of all, what would you like for Christmas? Have a think about that. Tell the person sitting next to you, tell your neighbour in class what you would like for Christmas. Need to pause the video, and then your teacher needs to put everybody down against. It's all really exciting, and you can all say Xboxes or puppies or I don't know, aeroplanes, whatever. Okay, but what about if you were going to think of something that wasn't for you, but think of something for your town? So we live in Northwich. Okay, there's a picture of the Bullring, the shopping centre. What would you like for Northwich if you could buy something for Northwich, for all the people that lived in Northwich? Again, have a think about that one. What would it be? I think if it was going to be me, I would have more trees, because if you look at that picture there, there's not many trees. There's one kind of with the leaves dangling down there, but I think it would be lovely to have trees going through the town centre. I think that would be really nice. I went for a run in Marbury Park yesterday in the dark, and it was lovely running through all the trees. It was really nice. So I think more trees. So again, we've got a lovely big open space, but it's not very green. It's all very grey. Now, the other thing that we might think about for Northwich is less rubbish, because there's rubbish lying around on the ground. And sadly, in this case, people have left their rubbish by the side of the tip because the tip was closed and they've just dumped it there. So there's lots of ways that we can look after our area. And by doing that, we're thinking about our neighbours, because it's not just about people in our class. It's not just about people on our street where we live, but thinking about being part of a team, a community in Northwich. Now, I know that lots of people have been talking in classes about being part of a team, and people have been working together as part of a team, just like the teachers work as part of a team. But also we're part of a team in Northwich, and that the word for that team, the special word for that team, is a community. Okay, so we've got ideas about our community, and you've all had ideas about how we could make our community, our local area, better. But what about around the world as well? And one of the things that we've not talked about in Assembly for a little while is our partner school in Kenya, our friends in Njoro DEB. So if you look at the map, this is where we are in England. And if you follow the red line all the way down there, that's Kenya, okay, on the continent of Africa. And Kenya is a very different place. There's there's big cities like we have in England, like Manchester, like London. And then within those cities, there's some very different places as well. And Njoro is way in the middle of the countryside, in the middle of a place called the Rift Valley. and it's very different to Wincham. So let's have a look at the city of Nairobi. Now, this is the capital. So you can see the map. There's a big national park in the middle of it, the Forest Sanctuary. You can see the blue bit. There is an airport. So we've got our airport here. Okay, oops. We've got a national park here. We've got the forest areas, and then we've got big roads like there and there leading out of the main city. So what does it actually look like in Nairobi? Because we might have been to Manchester or Liverpool. If you're really lucky, you've been to London, and we know there's lots of big buildings, lots of skyscrapers. So we know what cities in England look like. There you go. That's a picture of Nairobi. So great big skyscrapers and trees and some older buildings. So you can see down at the bottom that we've got those older buildings. Okay, got the trees. You can see the modern looking buildings, and it all looks lovely. And there we've got the park, and you can see that people have the chance to walk, to relax on the water. There's some nice bridges so you can get to the different islands, and it looks really lovely, doesn't it? Put your hand up if you'd like to go. Yeah, absolutely. Me too. So let's have a look at another part of Nairobi. This is part of Nairobi called Mukuru. Okay, so we're going to think about just that one particular part of Nairobi, part of the big city. Here we go. There. That's where some people work in Mukuru. And these children go to the dump site instead of school. So Morgan is 5 years old, so same age as some of you, and he plays while his mother works at the Jamaica dump in the middle of Mukuru, informal settlement. So that's his day. He doesn't go to school. Okay, so imagine that, playing in the dump and not actually learning to read and write. Now, Elizabeth is a single mum. She's 26 years old, and she works all day at the dump to provide for her children who are 6 and 3. And she has to take stuff from that rubbish dump, from that tip, sift through it all. And that's how she spends her day, so that she can look after her children. And this is Polycarp. When Polycarp was asked what he would change, what he would want for Mukuru, just like I asked you what you guys would want for Northwich, he would change the environment, especially the roads. Polycarp's 13 and says, it's not that bad in Mukuru, but I prefer not to live here. It's different from Nairobi. If it rains there, you don't have to wear gumboots, but here, because it's so muddy, you must have boots to walk around. There are also many sick people here. My family gets sick with pneumonia, and we're forced to buy medicines, but they're very expensive. If I was the president of Kenya, I'd change the environment in Mukuru, especially the roads. I'd make them passable. Mud is the problem here. I would try to help the helpless as well. So that's one thing to do, to change the environment. And Polycarp has thought really carefully about the environment in Mukuru, and that will impact on everybody. That will impact on all of his neighbours. Here's Patricia. I would bring better security to Mukuru and also open a hospital here. Wow, imagine not having a hospital. Patricia's 14, and she says, I like maths, so I want to be an accountant when I grow up and work in a bank and encourage people to keep their money safe. If I was president, I'd bring better security to Mukuru and also open a hospital here. In Mukuru, a lot of people get sick, but when you go to hospital in Nairobi, there are far too many people on the ward. If I built a new hospital, we could have just 5 people on the ward. I would also build new roads here so there are not so many accidents. So there we go. It's very, very different to Nairobi, that particular area, isn't it? And people can see that. So hospitals, new roads, and lots of people talking about people who are very sick. Darian says, I want to be a doctor so that I can treat the sick. Now, all of these pictures, all these interviews with these children were taken before coronavirus. So at this point, nobody knew about coronavirus. But Darian is 11 and says, my favourite subject is science, because for you to be a doctor, you need to do a lot of science. And that's what I want to be. I want to be a doctor so I can treat the sick and help my family and my parents. I think everyone should have medicine. People get sick in Mukuru because they drink dirty water, or they go to the toilet and there's nowhere to wash their hands, or they get sick because they eat food with dirty hands. Sometimes I get ill with malaria. I also get stomach problems. So Darian's thinking about how everybody in Makuru can be helped by having that basic hygiene. And some people don't have drinks to have like you do, don't have water bottles, and they have to drink dirty water, or they don't have places to wash their hands. And it's really important that we make sure that everybody has the same sort of facilities as we do. And that's why working towards our global goals is really, really important for us all. And Dominic again says, I'd make good roads for transport. So lots of people can see the need for good roads. It's one of our global goals. Dominic's 14 and says, when I grow up, I'd like to be a pilot. If I was president of Kenya, I'd make good roads for transport, ensure every constituency has toilets. I'd make sure there were no street children. I'd bring toilets to the country. Sometimes the water here is very dirty and you can't use it. The rich people in Nairobi should not look at the poor and treat them like slaves. They should take care of the needy people, especially the children. So really, really important, again, that everybody is treated the same, because in Nairobi or in Kenya, not everybody is treated in the same way, because some people have lots of money and some people don't have very much at all. And it's really important that at Christmas time, particularly when we're thinking about ourselves and we're thinking about our family and we're thinking about what we're going to have and what we're going to get and the food we're going to eat, it's really important that we take a minute to think about people in other countries as well who don't have the same sorts of things as us. So there we go, guys. We've had a little bit of a thought about people who live in Kenya. And even though those people who have quite different chances to us, quite different opportunities to us, when the teachers from Wincham visit our friends in the Juro DEB, those children there are wonderful. They are clever, clever people. And the teachers there are absolutely fantastic and do everything they possibly can to give those kids the best possible opportunities. So when you're getting excited about Christmas, when you start to open your advent calendars, or when your Christmas tree goes up or your Christmas lights go up and everything's looking pretty here, and you're starting to think about things that you might like for Christmas, and you're writing lists for Father Christmas and all of these sorts of things, take a minute as well to think about other people and the things that we can do for other people around and about. Okay, have a lovely rest of the day, guys. I will see you soon. Bye-bye.